Good evening and welcome to 1010, your top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Andy Hong. The grief from the Colorado shootings had scarcely faded when another mass shooting in San Bernardino, California killed 14 and wounded 21 others. Syed Rizwan Farouk and his wife Tashfeen Malik left their 6-month-old daughter and attacked Farouk's workplace, the Inland Regional Center of the San Bernardino Public Health Department, which helps developmental disability patients. It has been reported that Farouk was involved in a workplace dispute shortly before he returned with his wife with assault rifles and handguns. They were both killed in a firefight with police, and the third was detained but is unlikely to have been involved. ISIS claimed that Farouk and Malik were two supporters, but they made no indication that they had any say in the planning and execution of the shooting. Although Farouk was an American citizen, Malik was a Pakistani living in Saudi Arabia, with reports of having pledged allegiance to the terror group over Facebook. President Obama condemned the shooting again and called for stricter gun control again, and was met with criticism for his call again. Meanwhile, Chicago has been racked by protests for weeks over a released video showing Officer Jason Van Dyke shooting Laquan McDonald 16 times. The footage was held from the public for over a year, and Van Dyke was arrested last month for first-degree murder when the footage was finally released, showing McDonald making no threatening moves towards Van Dyke when he was shot repeatedly even after he had fallen to the ground, contrary to previous reports released by the police. In the latest developments, Police Commissioner Gary McCarthy was fired, and now the protesters are targeting Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cook County Attorney Anita Alvarez for their handling of the case. The British Parliament approved military action against ISIS in Syria, leading to the Royal Air Force's first strikes against the terrorists on Thursday. Despite Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn's opposition, Prime Minister David Cameron called ISIS an immediate threat to the Isles and pushed for preemptive strikes in the ISIS heartland. Based in Cyprus, the Cold War-era tornadoes and new, untested Typhoon fighter jets are striking ISIS oil fields in eastern Syria, which generate millions of dollars of revenue for the group. Floodwater in Tamil Nadu in the southern subcontinent killed 18 when the rain took out the power in the area. More than 280 have died so far in the city of Chennai due to the floods. And although the water is receding, some areas are still under upwards of 10 feet of water and displaced tens of thousands to government-run camps. Water and vector-borne diseases are becoming an increasing concern, and sanitation workers sprayed insecticide to prevent such illnesses as malaria. Climate scientists have linked this flood and storm to this year's massive El Nino. The UN Climate Summit is still ongoing in Paris as world leaders try to tackle environmental disasters that could have otherwise been prevented. According to the UN, of every $3 spent for developing nations, one was lost due to recurrent crises, totaling to $3.8 trillion lost from natural and social disasters affecting 217 million people every year. To lift some of the burden, one of the main goals is to prevent global temperatures from rising 2 degrees above the pre-industrial revolution average temperatures, which would prevent even larger storms, floods, and mass extinctions that could lead to famine and thus more resource-based wars. Of course, what worries people is that governments will simply ignore the resolutions, and President Obama called for legally binding agreements instead of simple talk. And now we go to Martin Shkreli, a hedge fund manager, touring pharmaceutical CEO, and stereotypical greedy businessman from Wall Street who cares about the well-being of other humans just about as much as how his hair might look with that amount of gel on. He caused a commotion when he raised the price of Daraprim, a 62-year-old life-saving drug, from $13.50 to $750 overnight. He disgusted millions once again on Thursday when he was asked during a summit what he could have done differently, and he answered that he should have driven up prices higher to make more profit. You see, this is the kind of turdish turdery, it's a word now, that shows us why we can't have nice things. Nevertheless, drug prices are rising across the board, 13.1% in 2014, and the Senate committee is investigating. Whether they'll deliver any results, we'll have to see. To celebrate the birth of his daughter, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that he will go on to donate billions of dollars for philanthropy by donating 99% of Facebook shares through this Chan Zuckerberg initiative, shares that are currently worth around $45 billion. But many are questioning Zuckerberg's motives, as the Chan Zuckerberg initiative was listed as an LLC rather than a non-profit. Zuckerberg responded by listing the benefits of being listed as an LLC, for example, the ability to actually control the funds. In any case, we all hope that the money is used for good causes. Now, in perhaps one of the silliest competitions of the world, tallest buildings. To beat Dubai's Burj Khalifa, Saudi Arabia confirmed its construction of Jeddah Tower, a 1 kilometer or 3,280 feet tall behemoth of a building. The $1.23 billion for funding have been secured, and now engineers will have to find ways around high winds and extreme weight of the building at the base. 26 floors have been built, and completion is scheduled to be at around 2020. A legendary ship sunk more than 300 years ago have been discovered off of Colombia, and perhaps the most significant find for naval historians this year. The Spanish galleon San Jose was found after it was sunk by a British warship in 1708 while carrying precious metals and jewels from South America to Spain. The Colombian president announced that they will build a museum in Cartagena to house the findings and commemorate the ship. Finally, for tonight's science news, human gene editing received an official endorsement from an international summit. The official announcement detailed how human gene research should go ahead, even on embryos, although there should be no pregnancies involved in the experiments, should only be for research. Gene editing for somatic or normal cells have been going on for a while, but never for cells that pass on genetic information, such as eggs, sperm, or embryos. Some regulations are in place to quell the fears of people who watch Gattaca, and we all hope to see some great findings in this new exciting field. And that's the 1010 news of the week. I'm Andy Hong. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with more of your top 10 news in 10 minutes. Stay educated.